And continuing on the exploration of Erika Kirk and my theory that she is in fact a creation of the nefarious pageant mom, her mother. And once again, not to say that mom is the only hand in the cookie jar. I think that this is a large conglomerate. I am honing in on Erika Kirk and her mother specifically to assess a larger scheme I sense is going on between mothers and daughters. Now, in my exploration, I've been comparing Erika Kirk and Lori Franzwe with Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, I mean the momager of all momagers, and Beyonce, Knowles Carter, and Tina Knowles. Today, I'm bringing up a topic a little less sexy, LLCs, okay? So I'm bringing this up not because I've done heavy-hitting investigative research. I want to be very clear. I'm going to be referencing Candace Owens' investigation, and there's another YouTuber named BJ Investigates, and I've tuned into a couple of her videos. But my point in bringing up the schemy business of LLCs is I am sensing that mothers who are, and once again, this is all theory, all opinion, friends, just opinions, of course, that the mothers are using their daughters as cash cows. And I think it's interesting because LLCs seem to be one of the methods or strategies that is creating this wealth. So in Candace Bride of Charlie investigative series, she was and has been mentioning Lori has a plethora of LLCs, like LLCs coming out of her ears, I believe is what she said. Like, doesn't even know what they're for. It's very unclear. Even some of the things that she's read in terms of their description, like, just doesn't make any sense. And how it seems that there are some fraudulent people who are committing a lot of fraud, a lot of gambling, a lot of suspicious behavior that is tied to the LLCs. And she was finding, his name escapes me, I'll put it on the screen, this gentleman who had a ridiculous family history, same thing, crime, like attempted murder. The siblings were after each other, the whole nine. Basically, she was doing business with a criminal, long story short. And he was named on all of these LLCs. And what's really interesting is I cannot shake that Erika, Beyonce, and Kim are all the same. They're like different flavors of the same scheme. And in watching BJ Investigates, her YouTube channel, she has done a lot of work on Lou Taylor. And I'm sure for the fellow TikTokers on here, Lou Taylor is a name that is probably familiar. Namely, she was one of the main players with Britney's conservatorship. Right. This is a lady who does not have a great reputation, okay? More shisty suspicions around Lou Taylor and being money hungry and using her management role for stars in suspicious ways. So one of the things that BJ Investigates discovered is the LLCs with Kim and Kylie. And do you know what she found online? Lou Taylor's name on the LLCs of Kim and Kylie. Now, one of the things she investigated with Kylie in particular is the lip kits. Remember when Kylie got her lips done and then wasn't very honest about it and sold a bunch of shit and made a lot of money? So she was investigating that merge, if that's the correct term. Essentially, Kylie Cosmetics ended up being sold to a company, I believe Coty, C-O-T-Y, which is France or European based, I know for sure in Europe, company. And once again, Lou Taylor's name is kind of like hovering around this. And it was very interesting to watch that video because there have been suspicions that Kylie Jenner is not actually a billionaire, that what her financial status is fraud. Wow, that like allegedly Kris Jenner made up paperwork and made up or had an accountant perhaps maybe make up numbers to submit to Forbes, and then Forbes found out about it and was very upset and tried to retract and basically call them out on the misinformation, and then the deal to the European country. Once again, I'm not the numbers lady, but to reiterate, what it was sold for, they are suspecting was not accurate data, was not accurate information. And apparently the company Coty that bought Kylie Cosmetics actually had, because it's a public organization, they received several lawsuits for people within the people who invested in Coty, or like basically something is up here with the deals. It's the numbers, the math isn't mathing, friends. So that led to a whole investigation on, is Kylie Cosmetics actually the powerhouse, the billionaire status that we're all led to believe? Or potentially, maybe, perhaps, a mother may be doing fraudulent activity, which is kind of interesting, through LLCs, because Candace Owens is investigating a mother doing, potentially, allegedly, fraudulent activity through LLCs. Interesting. And with the Kardashian clans, we have a lady named Lou Taylor, who was connected to a conservatorship. And then, funny enough, another connection that the Kardashians have to a conservatorship. Kanye. It's a curious thing to look at. It's an interesting thing to examine, So, of course, now I'm curious about Beyonce. So my next question, if, exploring this train of thought, is, does Beyonce have any LLCs? I imagine that she probably does. Like Beyonce LLC, Beyonce LLC, Queen Bee LLC, Sasha Fierce LLC, right? And whose names would be on those papers if we're finding that all these LLCs were for Lori or for Kim or for Kylie, but then there's these other suspicious people who have circles of criminal activity that are also listed on the LLCs. So, just, posing some questions, just some thoughts. Now, what I want to conclude with is back to my theory of Erika Kirk really being this product, this puppet that was made from a larger conglomerate. And I think that the mother's hand, which I'm referring to as like the nefarious pageant mom, the mom who looks so invested, the mom who looks so involved in her daughter's life, but is actually using her daughter for financial gain through manipulating and grooming her emotionally, and probably, likely, worse in other cases, to get in rooms and have opportunities to leverage her daughter's presence, her daughter's sexuality, her daughter's talent, in the Kardashians' case, her daughter's body, to then create brands and perhaps all these LLCs to then make money from. And I just keep getting that Erika is like this puppet. And once again, that does not excuse her for any of her behavior or impact. I am not the biggest fan of the Kardashians at all, or the Kardashian-Jenner clan. But I recognize that the Kardashian-Jenner group is both the perpetuators and the victims of this distorted beauty standard, of consumerism, of social media, weird attachment, obsession, all of those things. They've played into them and they're the victims of it, right? So once again, with Erika, I feel the exact same way. She should not be excused from her impact, but I think it's worth our time and attention to look at the larger scope of what's going on. So when I see Erika, I'm like, she's being puppeteered. And it was really interesting because Candace is outlining, she's like, there's just no way that during a single time frame this year, I think it was 2010, but I can be corrected on that, is Erika was pursuing a reality TV career. She was interviewing for a fashion reality show. She had this LLC where she was doing work in Eastern Romania. She opened up a t-shirt company with biblical verses. She was interviewing for TPUSA. She had a real estate license in New York. And Candace is like, nah, I don't think so, right? Like, I don't think so. And it's very interesting because then it reminded me of the Kardashian-Jenner family, where it was like there was a period of time where they were catching the same heat, where it was like they're always trying to sell something. Like, do their businesses even work? Are their businesses even profitable? Because they just keep selling things. Like, they just keep jumping on to different stuff. It's like American Apparel, and then it's like all these clothes, then it's like makeup, and then of course it's a scent, and then like it's alcohol, and then it's vitamins, and then it's makeup, but then it's clothes. And I remember having on my feed this like commentary of like, are they even profitable? And I was like, you know what else is kind of interesting is, do you remember Beyonce? When was it? Was it 2024? Not sure. Where Beyonce had her album release, which I mean fantastic, and then a world tour, and I mean fantastic, and then a movie of the world tour, I mean kind of fantastic, and then a hairline. And then perfume and fragrance. And then she's all over Levi's. And then I think maybe Adidas. And I was like, this is interesting. This is very interesting. And it was the same critique. It was the same trail of thought. People were like, is Beyonce good? Like, I mean, we're kind of in the middle of an economic crisis, low key. You know, things aren't looking too hot in the US, and you keep selling us stuff? Are you good? We know where we're at, but are you good? And I was like, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. So I wasn't able to come full circle. So let me wrap this up right here. I'm coming full circle now with the puppeteering. In the video I watched, BJ Investigates with Kylie Jenner, and it was going over the Kylie Cosmetics and like the lip stuff. The lip kits, it was supposed to be like they only manufactured a certain amounts, and they just sold like hotcakes. Like everyone was buying them, everyone was buying them, everyone was buying them. And then of course it was discovered the quality wasn't good, right? The makeup wasn't that great. The brushes weren't that great when she went into makeup. The lip stuff didn't actually work. I mean, people were having like ridiculous, like something is wrong. I remember when it was like all the rage, and they were like, our lips don't look like Kylie's. No, they don't. Of course not. And in that video, there was a scene of her next to her mother, Kris, and they were watching a TV screen of like the numbers, just like this one sold, this one sold, this one sold, and the numbers just went up, 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 up. And it was like, oh my God, look at all of what you sold. And it was like 1,000 kits or whatever the number was. And I remember thinking like, is that even real? Or did they just like show her something to give her the impression of what was being sold? You know? I'm starting to ask these questions because it's like, does Kylie even actually know how much money she has, her wealth? Or are other people managing it and telling her what it is? Because remember how young? I think she was like 19 or something. It was like billionaire 21 or something of the sorts around that age time. And I was like, that's exactly what Erika Kirk gives to me. Is, yeah, I have this and I have this and I have this and I have all this going on and I have all this like great stuff for myself. But it's like, perhaps not. I actually don't think you know what's being sold. I don't think you know the numbers of your business. I am beginning to think people who do know the numbers for your business may not be honest with you about it. And those numbers from your business may perhaps allegedly may not be from the product that you're selling. And just to once again, and same thing with Beyoncé, because you have to know too, when you have really made a lot of money and you're doing very well for yourself. I'm not even talking like big tier like that. I'm talking like everyday people who have had successful businesses or who maybe have their own company and like maybe they employ 5 people or 10 people. Like even that is phenomenal. Maybe you employ 1 or 2 person. At a certain point, you have to delegate something out. You have to have a finance person. You have to have someone close to you who knows the numbers. Because once again, likely for you to build and create a business, like you got that like scrappy energy. You got that like that sales mentality, like let's go get it, like let's get our hands dirty, like let's go for the excitement of like the catch, of the sale, of the building, of the creation, right? A lot of times that personality, those people who do really, really well financially, they're great at making money, they don't have the managerial mind, which is often why they bring people in, they have someone in, they have a team in, at some point you delegate something out because that's not really how you think naturally, organically. That's just not part of your blueprint, so to speak. You want to focus on the craft. You want to focus on what excites you, what you love doing, the industry that you love to learn about, the talking to people, the selling, the closing deals, right? The creating content. Like you want to focus your mind and brain power on that. So someone else comes in to do those tedious tasks. That's what happens most of the time, right? So even in just the everyday things, people get lost in how many subscriptions that they have, right? A lot of people aren't even, and I've been guilty of this too at different points. A lot of people don't even know what is going out versus what's coming in. And these are well-intended people, or who can be organized, or who have good people and merit around them. I am saying, I think it is very, 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 very likely that these women, Erika, Beyonce, and Kim, and of course Kylie, don't actually have a clear or honest gauge on what their businesses are doing in terms of finance. I think it's also fair to theorize that what their businesses are doing for other people is probably not being disclosed to them. Once again, I'm not saying that excuses anything, because when you're around suspicious behavior, when you're around ill-intended people, when you're around shisty folks, you feel it. There is a level of compliance here, but once again, I don't know their world. I don't know their life. I don't know their circumstances. But what I am here to present is, in this exploration of the nefarious pageant mom, that's the archetype that I'm just referring to this as, to the Tinas, the Krises, and the Loris out there. We're making these daughters. Palm itches. It's so unusual. Like, it doesn't usually itch. I think it's very likely that their daughters may be under a different impression than what's actually going on, even though they have the businesses, even though they're the face of the business, even though that's their name on the business. There may be someone else on the LLC, and there may be other things happening. And to wrap up, I know I said I was done. The other thing I just think is really interesting is, of course, there is I'm very, very pleased that the internet is taking the time to investigate the human trafficking and the sexual trafficking that's going on, and the connections of Eastern Europe with Lori and Erika and other people at TP USA. Palm. I thought it was so weird when I would fly and I would see Kylie's makeup vending machine. Do you remember that? I would just be flying and I would be at an airport and there's like Kylie Cosmetics, like a whole vending machine in the airports. And I remember being like, what is this doing here? Like, that's so weird. That's so bizarre. In the middle of my travels of going from one location to another, am I actually thinking that to pass time in the airport, I'm going to like get makeup from a vending machine? And I already have my makeup packed. Maybe if I forgot something, but I also wouldn't like, I'm just going to test out colors and just hope for the best in a vending machine at an airport. I thought it was weird. So, just another thought, just another thought, another parallel to draw in terms of having a global presence with a brand that doesn't make sense to be as successful as it is, with women who have mothers, with shady business partners and unethical handling and dealings, and who happen to be just shoved in our faces as the superstars that they are. Kind of odd. But those are the thoughts. And of course, I always have more.